Luka Doncic has signed what was reported as a 3-year, $165 million extension. The reality is that Luka is going to get 30% of next year's salary cap. That's the easiest way to explain it. As of right now, the current projection is that that is slated to rise by 7% as opposed to 10%, which was the original, 165 number. Given that, it would be a $161 million deal, assuming that it only rises by 7% as opposed to 10%. So let's call it 161. I think that's probably the better terminology for it. Look, I think that this was something that was just slated to happen from the moment that he got traded to the Lakers. It is the easiest way, as I'll explain maybe a little bit later on, for him to get closest to the Supermax money that he was going to be eligible for had he stayed in Dallas. And frankly, over the next 6 years, he's probably going to get pretty close to that money. I'll have to do some quick math in terms of how 7% changes that versus 10% changes that. But Bryce, what was your immediate reaction when you saw that Luka is staying in Los Angeles at least for 3 more years plus the potential for 1 more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great deal. I feel like for the Lakers. I mean, you look at the numbers, and that's why I was going to try to pull up and just see like player rankings, cap hit, whatever, like where that kind of hits. And I feel like whenever you're talking about a potential top 5 player in any year, potential top 3 player, right? Maybe the best player is his potential, I guess. And where his average, his AAV is even on this deal, this is a really good number for the Lakers. And so I know you're going to get into, and we'll talk about, because I'll be honest, initially, Sam, I was like, that seems kind of low, which is crazy to say, right? 160 million is crazy to say. But, looking at where those numbers came in at, right around 50 to mid 50s throughout the contract, I was like, man, like not even hitting 60 after some of these other deals we've got. So I think this is really good for the Lakers. Obviously, you lock Luka in. That was always, this is Luka's Lakers team now. Like we all know, as soon as the trade happened, this is where they had to pivot. LeBron James is still there. He still exists. Obviously, he is part of all of this, at least for 1 more year or however long that plays out. But this was all about Luka. This is Luka's team now. And it was, of everything the Lakers would do this offseason, making sure or trying to get him locked in was the most important thing for them. I think this is a really good number for that. So I think it's a win for the Lakers, and sounds like it's a win for Luka long-term whenever you figure the contract he could sign. What is it? 2-3 years from now? So.
Yeah. So I'll kind of lay out the mechanics here. When he got traded to the Lakers, this is what I wrote. The best way for Doncic to maximize his financial situation over the next decade would be to decline his $48.9 million player option for 2026-27, something that happened within the structure of this extension, and sign a shorter term 3-year extension with a player option in 2028-29. Such a deal would actually get Doncic close to his Supermax number over the next 6 years. Because Doncic missed out on being eligible for a Supermax, he will need to wait until he has played at least 10 seasons in the NBA to be eligible for 35% of the salary cap. Signing a 2+1 extension with a full value of $165 million this summer would put him on track to be eligible to make 35% of the salary cap starting in 2028-29 after he's played 10 years, to be able to opt out of that player option in 28-29 and sign a massive deal. Basically, he will lose out on $18 million in 2025-26 and 2026-27, but by signing his 35% max following multiple expected cap spikes of 10%, that now seems like 7%, unfortunately. Thanks to the new media rights deals, Doncic would only lose about $5 million over the next 6 years of his career. So this is kind of what I mapped out whenever I did this. And remember, these numbers are going to be just like very slightly off because, again, the idea here, if you're looking at the screen, was 10% cap raises versus only 7%. But the thing to remember as well is that that also would impact the other side of what would have been his Supermax in Dallas.
The other thing, Sam, is that is what the NBA is telling teams to prepare for. That is not set in stone, correct? Like they could still come back and it could potentially still be 10% when all said and done.
It's absolutely right. So if Luka was to sign a long-term extension with the Lakers, like right now, right? He would essentially be slated for the next 6 years to get $341.8 million. The Supermax in Dallas was 391.1 based on 10% raises. By doing this short-term extension, so he makes 46 million this year, 51 million the next year, 55.1 million in 2027-28. He's then going to be eligible to do his 35% max in 2028-29, which will actually mean that he'll make more money in 28-29, 29-30, and 2030-31 than he would have if he had just done the Supermax with Dallas, which it seems like he was going to do based off of all reporting and based off of just frankly, like he should. Anytime you can lock in $391 million, like you probably should, or it would have been 345 or whatever. So this all tracks to me. This all makes sense to me across the board. I think that we're in a position now with Luka to where Lakers fans should just be very, very happy that this is done. These next 2 years are the years where they have to make their team now.
Yeah.
They have really a 2-year window to get a core in place that allows them to be competitive. They could do more, like they could stretch down the road, but really their easiest functionality now moving forward is over these next 2 years to be able to go get what you have to get. Whether or not they're going to be able to, we'll see. Next summer is the big one, though. We've talked about that pretty substantially throughout the portion that we have, been doing this show, frankly. Next summer is the one where they have the flexibility to kind of do everything that they want to. And this is why you see some of the, LeBron, let's look into trade stuff for LeBron James rumors, because you look at their cap sheet right now, Luka's locked in at, that's the 49.6 number that is based on a 7% raise for next year. But he's the only guy on their roster that is slated to make more than 12 million next season. They only have 18 million between Jared Vanderbilt and Jake LaRavia on the books. They do have player options for both DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart that are 13 million. And then they're going to have a cap hold for Austin Reeves that I believe is going to be somewhere in like the 20 million range. So they're going to be able to way exceed that to re-sign him if they want to re-sign him. But they have real cap space and flexibility is the key for next summer. Like they're going to be able to go out and be damn near max cap flexibility if DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart decide to not return. That's an aspect of the Ayton and Smart deals that we didn't really talk about, how it does limit their flexibility a little bit next season if they decide to decline those. The Ayton one is the one I'm more concerned about. I find it hard to believe that Marcus Smart won't be worth $5.3 million. But I mean, DeAndre Ayton, like that could go poorly in some ways, to where again, like if, JJ Redick just is miserable coaching him, that could be a problem. But I think they can probably get off that 8 million for a year if they have to.
No, that's what I was going to say is like, I look at these numbers and it's like even Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like Vanderbilt would have 2 for 26, 25.5 left with a player option. If you were in a situation where you needed to move that for whatever reason, I feel like that's a movable contract. Ayton on an expiring $8 million contract seems like it could be movable in some capacity, like nothing on this looks prohibitive, right? Like you have your star locked in for under 50 million. And then there's just nothing else here that is keeping you from getting to whatever number you may need to, right? And that's all those conversations happen. Who's realistic? Who's not? How do we get there? Maybe it's not the straight free agent route. Maybe it's some other, whatever. But it is a team that seems like has some flexibility, at least in terms of the cap space situation, right? The draft pick chest is a little bit different. I think they would have one to trade. We're getting out ahead of it now, but so they're setting themselves up. I still have real questions. I'm sure we'll get into this over the next couple of months. Where are they at in the West? How good do we think that we're going to be this year? But in terms of building this thing out around a 26-year-old Luka, I think also with Austin Reeves around the same age, a year older, I think they're in a place to do so. And this was the start of that.
So for next season, they have Luka on the books, counting at 49.6 right now. They have Austin Reeves with his $21 million cap hold. So that's about 70 million, let's call it. They have 4.2 million for Dalton Connect. I'd be stunned if they didn't pick up the option. I know he didn't look great at Summer League, but like, I think you have to pick up that option at the end of the day and just kind of let it play out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think if they wanted to trade Dalton Connect right now, they could go get a second round pick, right? Like, don't you think?
Totally. I think they could get at least a couple of second round.
You get a couple second round picks, and then if you have to use those to get off another deal or whatever, but like he's not sunk, like he's not a negative asset 1 year into his NBA career at all. So if you needed to get off of it, you could and probably get something back yet.
Yep. So that's about, let's call it 75 with Connect, 12.4 million with Jared Vanderbilt. That's going to be about 87. And then they have the 2.3 million for Bronny James as well. So let's call it like 90 million or so on the books right now. They'd have some cap holds, obviously. And then in addition, they will have the Marcus Smart, or they'll have the Jake LaRavia, which is 96. And then they will have the Smart and Ayton deals potentially as player options, because they might just have to opt into those or whatever. So that's 103 for how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 guys, right? 9 guys, including Tiero.
I'd say Adu's on there for 2, but I mean, so yeah.
So yeah, you're at like 107, 108, let's call it even. And the cap for next season is slated at 106, or I'm sorry, 165. Like they have real cap space and flexibility to go out and do damage if they need to. And if they can get off the Vanderbilt dollars, they can get off the Marcus Smart dollars if they need to. Like this is a cap space team. This is a max cap space team next summer in a free agency class that could be interesting. We'll see if it is or not. I'm not sure if it will be or not, but they're in a really positive position here. The thing that's worth noting is, like, again, people have asked about this. There's just no way Austin Reeves is extending on this number. It's like a 4-year, $90 million extension or whatever. There's no circumstance where he can extend. He's going to get like 160 in that ballpark. If you made me bet, probably about 160. So I don't really see that as being even remotely possible for Reeves to extend, even if he wanted security. I'm sure that, Austin Reeves, undrafted guy who's made $50 million in his career, would like the security of having 150, but I don't know. You can't pass on like 70 million. I don't think that's pretty crazy to me.
Well, I'm sure if you're Austin Reeves, you feel like the Lakers you want a heck of a deal the first time around whenever you were a restricted free agent and you signed it, a lower than market value number, and you've made enough real money now that you can bet on yourself through one more season to go out and, become an unrestricted free agent. Like, that's the thing that this time around with Reeves is he does have a little bit of leverage and control over the situation that, if the Lakers don't want to give him that, he could go out and find it somewhere else and then make them, whatever. I'm not saying he wants to leave LA, just saying he has some leverage out there this time. The other thing with that is if they keep his cap hold, that's the important thing, is cap hold is small enough. Order of operations, it matters what Austin Reeves gets, but not in terms of the numbers you just laid out, Sam. They can just do Austin's deal last, and they can use up all the cap space, do whatever else, and then sign him to that extension when they go over the cap because they kept the cap hold on. So like the order of operations, this is where it's a real advantage that his cap hold is what it is.
Correct.
And keeps the flexibility. Okay, let's go out, let's spend 50 million here on whatever. And then we'll take, then we'll sign, Austin Reeves to the extension once we're over the cap, and we can use the room exception and all of those things that go along with it. So that's where real flexibility comes along with being able to keep his cap hold, not having to let go of it and then sign him using cap space. They don't have to do that. And that's huge.
Yeah. So a couple people have asked, the number feels high for Reeves. Who are they bidding against to get there? Guys, like the Utah Jazz are doing this in a heartbeat, like 160. The Brooklyn Nets, like, are going to have space again next summer. They probably do this easily. Cause again, the key with Reeves is that he's still only going to be like 28, 27 next summer. So he's somebody that you can actually build with for 4 years. The Washington Wizards, like, we don't know what their backcourt looks like long term. Like, all due respect, we think Bub Carrington's going to be interesting, right? Like, they have a couple other guys there, like AJ Johnson, I guess, is somewhat interesting. But like, guys, there are just too many teams that are rebuilding with cap space that would look at Reeves as a guy that they can actually build with, as opposed to somebody who's older who they'd be, kind of trying to accelerate their timeline for. He's definitely get it as long as he like plays up to the level that we've seen him play at over the last couple of years. He averaged like 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists or whatever this year on a true shooting percentage. It was 7% above league average. Like, he's getting that money. Like, there are too many teams in the marketplace that would be trying to pay him. And the reality is that, as Bryce said, for the Lakers, this is a huge value add for them. They can exceed the cap after doing everything that they need to do trade wise, doing everything they need to do, free agency wise, if they can go get a free agent and then bring him back. Like, I kind of think that Reeves has the Lakers over a barrel right now. Like, there is massive, massive leverage on the side of Austin Reeves now to be able to go and get like $40 million from the Lakers, frankly.
Well, because that's the thing. Whoever the name is, like, let's say De'Aaron Fox, I know he's not going to become a free agent, but let's say he was a free agent. And let's say you could get him for less than Austin Reeves or the same. It's not the same because De'Aaron Fox is taking up all of that cap space whenever he signs that, where Austin Reeves is only taking up the 22 million until whenever you sign him. So like, that's where, again, I think that's such an important part of this process for the Lakers and for the Reeves extension next offseason conversation.
Yeah, it's a really critical piece of it. As we go into this, I mean, like, $40 million, by the way, that's like under like 20% of the cap in 2027, 28, or it's like right around 20% of the cap in 2027, 28. It's just like not like, it's not like a huge number anymore if the cap keeps going up like this. I mean, and why would the Lakers commit to a Luka Reeves backcourt? Because we've seen what Luka does best. Like, Luka is best when he's paired with a guy who can play both on and off the ball as a scorer, passer, playmaker. We've seen it with Kyrie, for instance. We've seen it with Jalen Brunson. It's harder to find these guys than what you think. Guys who can comfortably play both on the ball and like run an offense when Luka's off the court and play off of Luka, because of their ability to like catch and shoot, downhill drive, get to the rim, get to the foul line, everything like that. It's actually like really, really difficult to find those players. And I don't know. I think people just probably underrate how good Austin Reeves is offensively. Like, defensively, like, I'll hear out the case that he's not good enough, but offensively, I mean, he's everything you would want next to Luka, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing with the backcourt is, I mean, if people don't like the number, like that's a conversation we can have, whatever, as you look at where 40 million would end up and all of that. My thing is, I don't have any concerns with that backcourt in terms of it working, especially offensively. I get the defensive. I've said this over and over, and like, I realize I'm a broken record now. Dallas, I think, was building it the right way. I think they had the right idea.
Correct.
And you mentioned it with Kyrie, in terms of, Austin Reeves is going to be able to play off of Luka Doncic and knock down, catch and shoot and be a second side. And then you just stagger him and let him run the show whenever Luka steps off. And then, yes, you have to surround them with good perimeter wing defenders. This is why we kind of are interested in the Marcus Smart signing, because if he can still do that, that's huge. That's why I think people sleep on Jake LaRavia's defense. It is what it is. But, those type of guys, whether it's those guys or of the ilk or better, if it needs to be, are who they need to surround that backcourt with. And then real defensive centers. Like, that's the other thing, Sam, is like, go get them a rim protecting center. Correct. Like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. And then those concerns aren't as big if you have some defensive minded wings, two-way wings, 3-and-D wings, and a defensive minded center. So I don't think that this is prohibitive of a backcourt. It's just like, you have to build the rest of the roster in the right way around it. And so if the Lakers commit whatever number to Austin Reeves after they have the Luka, then build out the roster in the right way beyond that.
So someone in the comments asked, can Austin shoot threes well enough? Last 3 years, 39% off the catch from three, 35% from the catch off the three, and 41% off the catch from three. So yes, he shoots well enough, is the reality.
I mean, yeah, he was 38% on 7 attempts last year. I think in general, must be a little bit higher on who Austin Reeves is as I just think this is a really good role I think, like you said, this role, what the Lakers need from somebody playing off of Luka Doncic. I very much believe Austin Reeves can be that guy. So maybe that's the disconnect here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the key is that he doesn't have to be the number 2. He can be the number 3. You just have to go find the number 3 that like makes a little bit more sense than LeBron insofar as like just age curve and everything. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with LeBron the player. LeBron the player is still amazing. It's just that LeBron is 40 and it is difficult to make that work in terms of building a roster together that makes sense around these guys. So I think that they're in a positive position here, the Lakers. Like, I really do. I get why anybody would have concerns about the way that they're building. I'm not sure that their front office like does an amazing job with a lot of this stuff, frankly. I think they've done a really good job this summer going out and getting, everybody that they did, DeAndre Ayton, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, like making sure that those guys are in a position to succeed. Honestly, like, I do wonder if they look at moving Connect. I think that you can't move Connect for just seconds right now.
Sure.
Because that's just like kind of pointless to me. But if you need the flexibility down the road, potentially to like go add something this year or like go add something into the futures, because they don't have many second round picks for the future either, I can easily see like a Dalton Connect for like 2 or 3 second round picks deal just to increase flexibility for their future, moving forward as they try and like structure trades and things like that. So I don't know. I'm like very positive on where the Lakers are. It's just that like, I'm not wildly positive on where they're at for this year. Maybe like, I think they're probably going to be a top 6 team in the West, but like, I think it's more that I'm excited about their future than I am about like their chances to win a title this year.
I agree. I'm with that 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, I think their chances of winning a title rests a lot on like what DeAndre Ayton is and how much Marcus Smart does have left and those type of things. Let me ask you this real quick. We touched on this briefly. I listened to another podcast. I can't even remember for sure. I don't remember if it was The Athletic or Hoop Collective or something, but fully healthy game 1 of the playoffs. What is the Lakers starting lineup by that point of the year? I think I know who they start the season starting.
Yeah.
I think they probably give Rui the chance and see how it plays out. But by the time we get to game 83 and the playoffs are starting, what do you think the starting lineup is fully healthy?
I would say it's going to be Luka, LeBron, Reeves. I think probably Ayton, if you made me bet. Oh, man. I think that Redick is really going to like LaRavia.
Okay.
I think that you're right that they will start Rui at the beginning of the year, and that will be the thing. I think JJ is really going to appreciate what Laravia brings from both an offensive and defensive perspective in terms of his ability to pass the ball, make quick decisions, shoot it, play make, everything like that.
So that's where I've gone as well. Like, I think ultimately, I think this team is at its best with Rui coming off the bench. And I think that could be a big role for him. I'm with you. I think Laravia could be really good in that role, and I wouldn't be surprised. I also wonder if they don't end up with it being smart and just like, hey, we need you to play 15 minutes. And here's what we need. We need 6 minutes to start the game, 6 minutes, more than 15, 22, something like that. But you know what I mean? Like, start the first half, start the second half, and just like go be that dude for 6 minutes to start each half on the other team's best player. When we play the Thunder, we just need you to get in Shea and disrupt him a little bit. And then we'll bring Laravia in and let him, do it after you've worn Shea down a little bit, or, whoever. Like, Shea's this stream example. Like, he's freaking awesome, obviously MVP of the league.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's where they end up going with it. I think I would eventually fall into it being one of those two guys being in the starting lineup just makes so much more sense because of the defensive matchups those guys can take.
Well, and the other guy I would bring up in this is Vanderbilt as well.
Oh, yeah,
Vanderbilt can't shoot quite at the level that even Marcus Smart does, but bigger, longer. To me, like, the answer is it's probably just going to be matchup based at the end of the day. If they don't have like a big time primary guard that they're dealing with, like if it's Houston or something, like I probably can see it being Laravia, right? Or I can see it being Vanderbilt. But if it's Oklahoma City, it's, we have to have somebody dealing with Shea for 48 minutes in a night. Like, let's have Marcus Smart do it for the first 8 minutes of the game or whatever. So yeah, like I think it's probably going to end up being matchup dependent. If you made me bet, Rui could certainly end up in the mix there as well. But yeah, like they're in an interesting position here. I'm like way more bullish on the Lakers' future than I think what most people are, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I'm with you in terms of, I kind of did, I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but I had to do Eastern Conference prediction stuff for the Pistons podcast. So I just went ahead and did the West because I knew eventually we would do that also. And I kind of had them right where you said, like, I think they're probably a top 6 team. I'm not as excited about them as I am some other teams. I'm silly excited about the Clippers to the point they're probably going to make me look stupid. But I think the Lakers are a playoff team, barring no injuries and stuff like that, right? Like it could go really bad. We've talked about it with Ayton, if LeBron got injured, something like that. But I think they're in a good spot right now. I'm with you that I think they're in a very good spot moving forward when you consider having Luka locked in and then the cap flexibility and space they will have this offseason.